So good morning and good afternoon, or wherever you are in the world, because we have many people from different places watching these webinars. And welcome to this Hachette Learning webinar. Please be aware that this session is being recorded, as I said, and the link will actually be sent to you within 1 week. Please feel free to share this recording with any of your colleagues who you feel may benefit from the session. Please ensure that you've selected everyone as the recipient in the chat box, and feel free to type in questions as the session is running, and I guess Nauman will be able to answer your questions, or he may leave them to the end for a question and answer session as well, which I'm sure there'll be at the end of this chat. I'll also be monitoring the chat, so if you have any problems, you can put them in the chat box. However, we do find if you have any issues with audio or that kind of thing, simply leaving the chat and then rejoining by the same link will normally sort out all of your problems. Please do not share your email in the chat. This is very important for security reasons. And please also ensure that your microphone is muted throughout unless the speaker asks you to turn it on. Please note, this event is not an official Cambridge International event, and therefore the views and messages shared are not representative of Cambridge International. I hope you enjoy this Hachette Learning webinar. Thanks very much, and it's over to Alison to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you very much, Ian. Hi, I'm Alison Schrecker, the lead product manager with responsibility for our new Publishing for Cambridge Business Economics and Accounting. We have just published a second edition of our popular students book, which is endorsed by Cambridge International for the Cambridge Pathway. For the new syllabus for first examination in 2027. There's also an accompanying workbook and digital teach resource. Anyhow, we're delighted to have our author, Nauman Malik, with us today, who has over 20 years experience of teaching IGCSE and A-level accounting and works with Cambridge International as an assessor. His career also involves conducting several teacher training workshops. He holds a CMA fellowship from the Institute of Cost Management Accountants of Pakistan, as well as holding a master's degrees in both accounting and business management. He will talk you through the main changes to the syllabus, as well as explore how the resources build support for skills. We also hope to have plenty of time for questions at the end. Anyhow, over to Nauman.
Thank you very much, Alison, for your kind words. Our today's presentation is divided into 3 sections. First section deals with how teachers should plan their teaching. In the second section, we will discuss how this book can support their plans. Whereas the third section, perhaps the most important one, will highlight the key changes in Cambridge 2027 IGCSE and O-level syllabus. Now moving on to section 1. Before starting a new accounting class, teachers must plan. Teaching order means they should know that which order to teach topics. Actually, teachers can teach in any order which they want, or they are more comfortable with. However, not binding for the teachers, Cambridge suggests a teaching sequence within its syllabuses. Now, coming to the second point, content selection. Teachers, before starting a new class, should know what to teach and what not to. Again, the key document for the teachers is, again, the updated Cambridge IGCSE O-level syllabus, which includes all the key contents of the syllabus. And this syllabus keeps on updating on a regular basis, usually after every 3 years. So, in order to determine that which topic to include and which to skip, referring to the updated syllabus is very important. And third and last, supporting resources. As a teacher, I believe that those resources should be used which are not only compatible with the teacher's teaching strategies, but also able to achieve the first 2 plans which we have just discussed. After determining the needs of the teacher before starting a new class, we are going to the section 2, which will highlight our features of our student book and which will help us to determine that how our resources will help teachers and students to achieve their objectives and achieve their learning goals. You can see on your screen on the left hand side title of our student's book, whereas on the right hand side you can see the content of our book. These content are arranged exactly in the same order as they are in the syllabus. Furthermore, the names of the sections, name of the topics, even the contents within each and every topic is exactly the same wording as given in the syllabus. This book is officially endorsed by Cambridge International, and let me tell you that this endorsement was only after passing through a rigorous test of quality and reliability. We have a workbook that complements our main textbook. This book has content exactly in the same order as the new syllabus and as given in the student book. Through two new chapters, ethical consideration and technology and sustainability. We will talk about them in detail in the third section. All these chapters within these books have been updated with the new content and with the new terminology. Moreover, material no longer needed has been removed from these two books, workbook as well as student book. We all know we are living in the world of technology. So there are some digital resources as well. They include knowledge test, revision checklist, additional resources, and special help for teachers in the form of teacher guides and schema work. Whereas for students, we have special documents that how can they prepare for their exams and about the teaching accounting layouts, which will give them idea to use formats right from the start of their session so that they are more familiar with the layout which Cambridge requires or recommends. And in the last bullet point, you can see plenty of additional support for EAL students, English as an additional language. I think this is perhaps why Hodder invited me to write this second edition. As an EAL learner myself, I understand the challenges students face and have tried to write content that is more simple, understandable, and supportive for EAL learners. Now, coming to what is included in our student book. What features our student book has? Start with learning objectives. Each chapter starts with the learning objectives from the syllabus. This lists down the content of the syllabus in the same order which is in the syllabus. This also helps learner to understand what syllabus content they need to understand or they will understand or cover in this particular chapter. Activity. An activity includes short questions when a new concept is introduced. Following a worked example. For example, you can see on the upper right of your screen, activity 15. State what is meant by the term narrative. This snapshot is taken from our student's book. And this followed an explanation of general journal, where the term narrative was firstly introduced. So, in order to reinforce the knowledge which students have gained from the student's book, this activity was being designed. Study tips. Study tip highlights common errors, clarify any misconceptions, and give exam tips or advices to the students to boost their performance. On the upper right, you can see a study tip like only credit sales are entered in the sales journal. We all know this is a common misconception that students think that sales journal is used to record all types of sales, including cash sales. But we as teachers know that cash sales are not entered in the sales journal, rather they are shown or included in the cash book. So such study tips help students to avoid any misconceptions and to avoid common errors, especially in the exams. Key terms. These are the important terms which are included in the text and which require some further explanation. These terms are highlighted in the main text and defined in purple boxes to help the students to build their accounting vocabulary. Let me share one experience with you as a teacher. When I start teaching a new A-level class, when I ask students define debit or credit, it's very surprising to see that more than 90% of the students are unable to define debit or credit in a proper way. And this is very shocking because debit and credit are the most commonly used terms in O-level and IGCSE counting. So the key terms are that students should know before using a term or a word that what does this actually means. Think about it. That encourages critical thinking and it relates accounting problems to real life situations. If we look at on the upper right, there is an activity which is newly added in the syllabus. Digital accounting involves lower initial costs than manual accounting. This statement that may seem correct, but actually this is not, because digital accounting involves higher initial cost but lower running cost. So when students go evaluate this statement in a critical manner, they would be better able to understand that the words or the sentences which are being provided to them may not be as they look like. Key info. Key info provides additional explanation or examples to clarify tricky concepts. For example, if we look on the upper right, again, this snapshot is from the student's book. The trial balance is not part of the double entry system of bookkeeping. This actually key info helping us to determine that we will never include trial balance item in a journal entry or in a ledger account entry. We will never pass this entry machine debit trial balance credit or trial balance debit sales credit. Trial balance is a simply list of ledger account balances which not only helps to check their arithmetical accuracy, but also help us to prepare financial statement. But it is not part of double entry system in any case. Revision checklist. Revision checklist is given at the end of the chapter and that lists down the key concepts which are being discussed in the chapter and help students to confirm what they have actually learned while going through the chapter. Another chapter review questions may include both short and long structured questions. These are not written in the exam format, so that's why they do not include marks. You may be surprised to see question number 2. This is fill blanks. And usually in Cambridge IGCSE and O-level, such type of questions are not tested. As I have already told you, this is not an exam type or exam style question. So that's why these questions are being designed to help students to think out of box. For example, as a teacher, when I give two options to the student to choose from, and when they choose one of the two options, I tell them the third option was correct, which I never mentioned. Mainly because of the reason I want students to think differently. So that's why rather than focusing only on exam type questions, there should be some practice of different type of questions which student can concentrate and can practice. Practice questions. They may include MCQs as well as structured questions to assess understanding of the students. They follow exam style format and do include marks. They may be taken from past papers, provided in that case, proper reference of the past paper, year or session would be provided. For example, on your screen, you can see two multiple choice questions without any reference to the past paper. It means they are not from past paper, they are prepared by the authors. But in another slide of practice questions, we can see on the lower right, October-November 21, paper 23, question 1. It means this question has been taken from IGCSE Accounting 2021 paper. Now, the most important one. Now we are going to highlight the key changes in 2027 syllabus. As common with the new editions, our second edition compared to the first one, topics name and technology and sustainability. All chapters have been updated with new terminology and with new content. Some material which is no longer required has been removed from the second edition. And as we have discussed that of this book in the same manner as given in the syllabus. So now next point, syllabus. First point is complete pro forma business documents. Pro forma business documents are preliminary or basic documents which businesses use to outline details before the transactions actually occur or before transactions become legally binding. And these documents help both parties to understand the expected terms of transactions, and they are commonly used for internal controls, customs, quotations, etc. But because of the introduction of digital documents, these pro forma business documents have been removed from the new syllabus. Second point, difference between redeemable and irredeemable preferentials. Those who are teaching A-level as well, their preferentials have also been removed from the A-level syllabus. Same is the case with IGCSE and O-level. However, syllabus mentions that preferentials are still part of the capital structure if statement of changes in equity is required. However, detailed features and detailed explanation of preferentials is not expected from the candidates from IGCSE or O levels. In the third point, trade payables. They have been removed from the accounting parties and they have been replaced with a new interested party in the accounting statement, that is suppliers. Suppliers is most appropriate term because suppliers may include those suppliers who supply on cash basis and those suppliers as well who provide goods on credit basis. Fourth bullet point, apply accounting ratios in interfirm comparison, that has also been removed. It means questions requiring to compare the financial statement of two businesses with ratios will not be asked in the exams. However, inter-year comparison is still in the syllabus. Moreover, theoretical aspects like the factors affecting the ratios of two businesses is still in the syllabus. And second last point, difficulties of definition from the limitations of accounting statement were likely removed because they go beyond the scope of the IGCSE level syllabus. This resulted in the exclusion of international accounting standards and the complete topic of accounting policies, including comparability, relevance, reliability, and understandability. So this was the summary of the content which has been removed from the new syllabus. And that's why you will not find this in our second edition as well. Now, coming to the points, new content which is being added in the syllabus. Ledger accounts in digital form. We all know that we prefer to use T account while doing practice in the class or for doing home assignments or even in exams. But accounting softwares are spreadsheets. When we prepare ledger accounts in these spreadsheets or softwares, we usually prefer to use running balance method or three-column ledger, which facilitate us to calculate balance literally after each and every transaction. So that has been added in the new syllabus. Business documents, second point, business documents in manual and digital form. We all know that when we go to a shopkeeper and we may get a manual invoice from the shopkeeper, and shopkeeper keeps its carbon copy to record its sales as sale invoice. Now, mostly businesses use softwares and they give us digital invoice. Likewise, when we go to ATMs, most ATMs also work as cash deposit machines. When we deposit cash in these machines, we have a receipt. And that receipts act as a pay-in slip or as a replacement of deposit slip. Likewise, students should also know that when we use online banking, online banking apps or mobile apps to make payment to a certain party, then we have a transaction receipt that replaces manual check file. So these digital documents are now included in the syllabus. Third point, digital method for the original entry of business transactions. When we choose digital method to make the entries in the original book, in the books of original entry, that results in increased efficiency, fast speed, enhanced accuracy, remote access, scalability, but it has challenges as well, like high initial cost, security and data breach risk, etc. And same is the case with the fourth bullet point, impact of digital business transaction on BRS, bank reconciliation statement, and control accounts. When we use to record transaction relating to bank in a software, then software will automatically prepare cash book for us. And that will help us to compare with the bank reconciliation statement on a regular basis. That will reduce the chances of frauds and mistakes. And now the fifth point, accounting for businesses which can be trading, service, manufacturing, or combination of these. We all know there are three forms of organizations: sole traders, partnerships, companies. And syllabus requires that you should be able to do accounting for all these forms of organization, whether they are in trading operations or they are in performing manufacturing operations or a combination of these. Worked examples and new practice questions have been added in the second edition, focusing on these types of businesses. Second last, advantages of accounts from incomplete records. In the last edition, we had disadvantages of accounts from incomplete records. Now, the new edition means we should know that there are some small businesses which cannot afford to hire the services of specialized accountants, and they feel that cost of hiring a professional accountant would be lot more than the benefit which they would get from their accounting services. And lastly, markup and inventory turnover days are also added in the ratios. But story continues. With the benefit and limitations of keeping cash at the business property. This is again a new addition. This was also discussed in Think About It slide when we discussed that there are many businesses which keep some cash for meeting their petty needs or to pay those suppliers who only require cash. But again, that has some limitation as well. For example, risk of fraud, risk of theft, etc. Second point, reasons for the difference between profit and cash. We all know that profit and cash are calculated in a different manner. Profit is the excess of incomes over expenses, whereas cash balance shows excess of collections over payments. So there are many items like credit sales will increase profit but may not increase cash. Purchase of asset will decrease cash but will not decrease profit. There are many non-cash expenses as well, like irrecoverable debt depreciation, which do affect profit but do not affect cash. So there are many differences which students need to understand at this level. Third point, employees, suppliers, lenders, customers, public and environmental bodies have been added as interested parties in accounting statements. This is chapter 3 in the second edition. And lastly, application of accounting policies in chapter 24, which is limitation of accounting statements. Actually, we know that there can be potential bias or subjectivity in choosing accounting policies. This can distort a company's financial position and performance. For example, in case of revenue recognition, we all know that some businesses may record sales when an order is received, whereas some businesses may record sales only when cash is received on account of that sale. However, the correct treatment and most common treatment is to record sale when goods are delivered to the customers. Similarly, when we treat our expenses, again there are different policies or ways available. For example, one business may use straight line method and depreciate their assets full year in the year of purchase and no in the year of sale. Whereas some other businesses may choose to depreciate asset by using reducing balance method for only that period for which asset was being owned. Similarly, there could be some businesses which use a fixed percentage to calculate allowance for irrecoverable debts, which was previously called provision for doubtful debts. Whereas some businesses may use aging schedule to calculate the amount of allowance for irrecoverable debts. And lastly, for assets valuation, we know that depreciation do not usually reflect actual reduction in the market value of the assets. Similarly, a non-current asset is shown at its cost price, even though its market price is quite different. Whereas, when we talk about current assets, especially inventory, that is recorded at lower of cost and net realizable value, which is also called market value. So there are some differences which we may face when we compare the financial statement of two businesses or even financial statement of the same business for 2 years. Now we are going to the end of our presentation. Two new chapters have been added. One is ethical considerations in chapter number 26. That chapter covers why ethics are important and explains key principles like integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. This topic also highlights why following these values matters, not only for accountants, but for stakeholders and society as a whole that rely on accountants' work. That chapter is basically focused on ethical considerations for accountants. And the last topic, chapter number 27, technology and sustainability, is also a new addition to the book as well as in the syllabus. That topic explains how digital tools are used to keep accounting records, the importance of storing data safely and in a sustainable way, and the risks if we do not. It also looks at different storage systems like manual methods, devices, cloud services, along with their pros and cons. This helps students to understand how technology supports modern accounting. This is a snapshot from our student's book. You can see in the study tip, a mnemonic, a radio, summarizes the uses of digital applications for accounting records. This mnemonic or radio has been, this word has been developed by taking the first alphabet of 6 uses which digital applications for accounting records have. This would help students to memorize these 6 uses while answering such type of questions during their exams. Now, to summarize, our resources, our student book takes teachers and learners through the Cambridge syllabus, using clear explanations with the help of key terms, key info, study tips, activity, worked examples, practice questions to support their learning. And workbooks and digital teachers guides are also available to facilitate teachers in their objective to improve their learning experience. Now, back over to Alison for rest of the presentation.
Thank you very much indeed, Nauman. Perhaps we could maybe open up to questions. I believe that Ian will help us run this part of the section.
Hello, yes, I got a few questions that were asked to me directly. Incidentally, if you do have any questions, then feel free to put them in the chat right now, because we have a bit of a question and answer session here. But one of the questions that I was asked directly is, can I still use the previous edition of the textbook?
Nauman, I'm not sure whether this is something that you can speak to or happy to.
Sorry, Ian, I was unable to hear. Can you repeat it again?
Yes, of course, yeah. I'd like to know is, can they still use the previous edition of the textbook?
Yes. Okay. See, while you could still use the previous edition, the 2027 Cambridge syllabus includes significant changes. From my teaching experience, it is best to give students exactly what they actually need, so they do not waste time learning outdated material. I think that satisfies your questions.
I would say so, yeah. So basically what you're saying is obviously the newer edition is the much better edition because this thing's been added, and obviously, everything when it updates
Uh,
is always better to get the update, isn't it, essentially?
yes.
Somebody asked also, how much more time will I need to teach the new content for ethical considerations and technology sustainability?
Uh, See, this is difficult to answer because the time needed may vary from class to class. However, a scheme of work suggests allocating approximately 4 hours each to each topic of ethical considerations and technology and sustainability. But again, this may vary from class to class.
Okay, that's a fantastic answer. It makes perfect sense as well. And when will the new text be available in Pakistan? Someone would like to know.
That's one probably that we can answer and say that it should be available, if not now, very, very soon. So I'm sure one of my sales colleagues can speak to that one, or has answered it already in the chat.
Oh, yes, I think, yep, you're right. They have answered it in the chat. Yep, I was scooting through the other questions at the same time. Okay, so hi, everyone. Someone said, I just joined in. Can I have the session recorded? Yes, the session is being recorded. And you will be able to get it as a link that is sent to your email. So when you signed up for this session, you would have received a little thing to pop your email, your details, obviously, to get the link. So your recording will be sent to that in due course, probably within about a week, I would say. Let's have a look. Please, nobody put your email in the chat. Although that's Robert. I believe Robert is one of our sales team, so I guess that's okay to put in the chat anyway. So that's not a problem. Somebody would like to know about the digital ledgers. Are students required to do their works using digital devices? Who would be answering that one? Would that be you, Alison, or would that be Nauman?
Nauman may be able to speak to that one. If not, it might be one to direct at Cambridge themselves. But Nauman,
Okay. Oh, I was reading through the chat, so that's why I couldn't hear. So, uh,
could you repeat,
there
Ian,
was
please?
can you
Yes, I
repeat
can
the
repeat the
question?
question, not a problem at all. Yep. Someone would like to know about the digital ledgers specifically. Are students required to do their works using digital devices?
No, no, not at all. Not at all. Syllabus clearly defines that no hands-on experience, no accounting software knowledge is required. The basic thing is students just need to have an awareness how technology can be used. That is how bookkeeping can be done online. How to store data digitally, and it is safer to store data in this way. But no knowledge of accounting softwares or hands-on experience on computers is required.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps up the questions that
Oh,
haven't been answered in the
I did
chat.
see one more, Ian, further
Oh,
back,
did
I
you?
think. Yes.
Oh, what was that one?
I'm just scrolling back to it myself.
Someone asked about support material other than the workbook, but that was answered in the chat. There's an online teacher's guide. This is Robert Gill asking. I thought Robert was one of our team, but I guess he isn't then in
Okay.
that
No,
case.
I've just seen one here from which says currently markup and inventory turnover days are covered in the syllabus of 2026. What is the difference or markup and inventory turnover days added in ratios, added in new syllabus with the existing syllabus?
Actually, markup was part of a topic of accounts from incomplete record previously. Now this has been shifted from that topic to the ratios. So that's why syllabus assumed that this is a new addition. Actually, that was very well there, but that was included in the accounts from incomplete records. Now this has been shifted here. Moreover, inventory turnover in times was included in the syllabus. Inventory turnover in days is newly added.
Thank you very much.
We've got one more question here, which is, does the teacher guide provide video or visual to help the students relate to the accounting software?
I can probably speak to that one as well. Just to say that it does not. It does have videos, but those relate to teaching English as an additional language. But it could be potentially we could look at adding in a future update if it was felt that it was important to do so.
Okay, well, I think that's pretty much all the questions. Please do refrain from putting your email in the chat. A lot of people are putting their email in the chat. Please do not do that, just for security reasons. All the information you need will be sent to the email that you signed up with, including the recording of this this thing today. So I think that's pretty much it from our side of things. I'm going to hand over to Alison and just see if she's got any final comments for everyone in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much, Ian. If next slide, please, Nauman. If you're still able to,
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you very much. If you could put it onto the next slide for me. I just wanted to say thank you very much to you, Nauman, and also to highlight that we also have another free webinar coming soon for economics on the 11th of June. So please do scan the QR code, which is on screen, or we've posted a link in the chat. And please do pass that on to anybody else who might be interested. And if you could click onto the final slide, please, Nauman. I just wanted to say with the final slide is that now that the student books and teacher guides are out, we're looking at how we can best support students with study review and exam preparation and practice. So we'd be really, really grateful for your help to help us develop new resources that work for you and your students. So please do fill in this short survey. There's a link on, there's a QR code on the screen, or we've put a link to the survey in the chat, or you can email me directly if you're interested in working with us on this. Thank you very much for listening, and back over to Ian.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And as Alison said, there is a link in the chat for both a feedback form and any other information you may need as well. Please refrain from putting your email addresses in the chat if you don't mind. That would be great. But thanks to everyone for coming, as he said. And just a quick reminder, the recording, which everyone's been asking for, that will be available soon and it will be sent to your email. But for now, that is the end of this Hachette Learning webinar. Thank you very much for joining us, and you can leave the room in your own time. Bye-bye for now.